you please lead us in opening prayer, please?
Precious Father, we thank you for this day. We thank you for allowing us to come together at this workshop meeting. We thank you for allowing each and every one of our businesses to come and participate. Lord, we ask you to just have your way at this meeting. We ask you to lead, guide, and direct us, Father, that we would make the right decision and do what we need to do to move forward in this town. In Jesus' name we pray, amen.
Amen. Deb, would you lead us in a prayer? Pledge allegiance.
There's two. No, there's two.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The draft of the minutes in the last meeting is in your packet. We'll go over that. Vote on it next week. Okay, mayor's update, financials. Dave, I'm gonna turn it over to you.
The financials are done, except for just a small bit on the last month's water fund, but they are done. I just got really busy and couldn't print off the profit and loss statements, but I will have all those done. And the line items that you and I discussed have not been changed yet, so didn't make any sense to print it all off until I could fix those. But I promise I will email all of you last 2 months' financials by Tuesday next week. Sorry.
Okay, thank you, Debbie. For mayor's update, that was financials. Attorney's update, Doug, turn it over to you.
All right. I want to apologize for missing last month's meeting. I was stuck in, I know I was in Raven County, stuck in mediation in the evening. I apologize for that. First on the attorney's update is the SPLOST reimbursement. I talked to the county attorney a couple of weeks ago about that. My understanding is that they had presented that at one of the county's meetings last month, and they discussed that. I still believe that legally we're on very good ground on getting that money back. I believe that we will be getting that money back. My understanding is that the county administrator has contacted Ms. Walker about getting some documentation on that. We sent some documentation in order to get the reimbursement back. There may be some more documentation that the county needs, so
Okay.
if you can contact Mr. Partain about that. My expectation is that we will be getting that reimbursement back probably, hopefully within a month or two. Next is the Downtown Development Authority. I think the last work session that we were at, we had discussed all sorts of different options for the DDA, or whether to even have a DDA or a Main Street partnership that would be kept in-house. And also we discussed, I guess, the timing of when this would happen, whether it would be before year's end or after the new year. Where are y'all at on that, or do y'all have any questions on?
I just wanted you to address those things I emailed you about.
Yeah, I think a citizen had emailed some questions. I guess the first thing would be how would they be appointed, and whether it would be an open meeting or an executive session. And last month I did a little bit of research and sent to the council and to the mayor a legal opinion on that, and that my legal opinion is that if you were selecting members to the DDA, you could go into executive session to discuss it. Not legally required to, but you could do it if you wanted to. And Georgia law allows the city council to go into executive sessions to discuss the appointment of public officers and employees. And that's OCGA 50-14-3, subsection D, subsection 2. Now, DDA board members would not be employees, but my opinion is they would be considered quote-unquote public officers. And there's a case out there is Brown versus Scott, and the citation for that is 266 Georgia 44. It's a 1995 case from the Georgia Supreme Court. And it said a public officer is any individual who has a designation or title given to him by law and who exercises functions concerning the public assigned to him by law. And in that case, it was somebody who had been appointed by a judge to be a juvenile intake officer of all people, and they said that person would be a public officer. And so I think that the people appointed to the DDA have titles granted to them under Georgia law. They're called board of directors. So they do have a title, and they do exercise functions as assigned by the Downtown Development Act. So it is my opinion that the directors would be considered public officers under the law, and that the council would be entitled to go into executive session to appoint them to the DDA. Now, that's a wholly separate question on whether you should do it, but I believe the law allows you to go into executive session to appoint public officers, and I think the DDA board member would be a public officer on that. So that was kind of the first question on that. The second question, I believe, was, I think the citizen had a concern over, because the statute talks about taxpayers being appointed to this board, and we were wondering, is it a property taxpayer, or sales taxpayer, or state income taxpayer? And so I did a little research on that, and the DDA statute doesn't define what a taxpayer is. There's not a definition for it in that code section. In other parts of the code of Georgia, the taxpayer is defined, and the taxpayer is usually defined as someone who pays a state income tax. You file a state income tax return and you pay state income tax, and that's considered a taxpayer in other sections of the code. I don't think that's controlling necessarily for the DDA question, but that is one definition of a taxpayer that I did find in the code. There was a question also that the citizen had, because they made a point that they didn't believe that a renter would be considered a taxpayer. But if you actually look at the statute and the regulations in Georgia, renters are property taxpayers. They do not pay their property tax directly to the tax commissioner generally. They usually pay it through their landlord. The code section is OCGA 48-5-3, and then there's a regulation, and the regulation is 50-11-2.20, subsection 2G. That's a lot, but yeah, both the state code and state regulations both say renters are property taxpayers. And I usually see that and I usually draft a lot of leases on behalf of landlords, and we usually put that in there, that the tenant is responsible for paying property taxes. The tenants usually pay it to the landlord, and he pays it on to the tax commissioner. But I think that the law usually considers renters to be property taxpayers. So I think that would be, it really doesn't apply as far as these board members.
Would that have to be in the renter's rental agreement, or is it just assumed that when the renter pays the landlord that money, that the landlord is taking part of that money to pay the property tax?
Yeah, I mean, the law is not as detailed as that. It doesn't
Okay.
answer that, but reading the statute and reading the code section, it just says people who lease property are considered to be taxpayers under Georgia law. So in that sense, I would say that someone who rents property in the town of Bowersville would be eligible for a DDA set. I don't think you actually have to be a real estate landowner. Now, there is a different code section that deals with, I forgot to bring the research, but deals with commercial associations or something like that. And it does define taxpayers as a commercially owned property owner. It's in a completely different code section as the DDA, so I don't think it applies. And also it deals with, it's a completely different board. It's not a DDA. It's, I can't remember the abbreviation on it, but anyway, it doesn't apply. And then I think, was there anything else in that letter from the citizen that?
That if you have a couple who are a husband and wife, and either of them are not listed on the deed, like if the husband owns the house or land and the wife is not listed on the deed, can that person still?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, you don't, just because you don't have your name on a deed or even on a lease doesn't necessarily don't live there. I mean, your residence is, your domicile is where you have an intent to stay. And in fact, I just had this issue, the chairman of the Franklin County Board of Elections, and somebody challenged somebody's residency. And that was what the whole issue is where do you live? They had a house in Royston and another house in Madison County. And that was the whole issue that we heard evidence on and that we had to apply the law on is your domicile is where you have an intent to live. And that intent can be shown with your name on a lease or your name on a deed, but it is not required to do that. It's basically where you keep your head and where you say you live. So yeah, no, I don't think you actually have to have your name on a deed before the state of Georgia to consider you living there. Is there anything else on that? I don't think so. So that's all I've got on the DEA. And as I said earlier, that's a completely separate issue on whether y'all even want to start a DDA or when you actually want to start it. We'll take that up later.
I got a question. What is a Main Street that you mentioned?
The Main Street Partnership Association is kind of like a DDA in the sense that it is a group that would be selected by the city, but it would be under control of the city. It wouldn't be its own separate entity that the city could do anything with. And they also act as kind of like a commercial booster of the town, and they can go and try to find businesses to come to town and things like that.
So the difference between the DDA is stands alone, and the Main Street goes through the mayor and the council.
In my mind, that's probably the biggest difference in those two. And then also the DDA has a lot greater powers than the Main Street Association. The DDA can issue bonds and things like that. And I think we talked last month. I don't foresee the city of Bowersville having a DDA that ever did that. I don't think the city's big enough to have a DDA that could issue bonds, at least not in the foreseeable future. So that is one thing. And then I think someone else had raised the point that I think a lot of the property, at least here in the downtown district, is already owned by the city.
City already owns it.
So I mean, having a DDA, usually the DDA is working with, it's a public-private partnership generally, and the DDA partners with private landowners to bring in businesses or approve buildings and that sort of thing. But the thing is, the land around here is already owned publicly. There aren't really too many private property owners to partner with, at least in the district that I've seen. I'm sure they're on the outlying areas, but here, right through Main Street, is mostly the city that owns them. So, that's another thing to consider. Anything else in the DDA? The next thing is the agenda policy, and I think we had talked about that last month too, about any changes to the agenda policy. And my understanding is that the last meeting that I missed, y'all took questions, and did that work out fine?
Yeah.
Okay. Do y'all want to formally change the agenda policy?
I don't have any problem with changing it, it's up to the council here, but, you know, he asked if anybody had any problem changing the agenda. Well, right now, the way the policy is if you want to be put on the agenda to speak, then you have to come in and fill out an application to do so. And if that don't happen, then if the mayor lets you speak, it's just out of the courtesy of the mayor. But then we received some problems with that because some people thought, well, he's letting some of them speak and he ain't letting others speak and different things like that. But the main thing about if you just open it up to speakers and this one here starts speaking and then that one there cuts in and this one over here cuts in, next thing you know you got 5 people in one heated conversation and it can go on and on and on all night. So if you have them to get on the agenda like they should do, I know Cannon does this, and I'm pretty sure Hartwell does, but I'm not sure about that. Then you have a time limit for each person to speak, and they can speak about anything they want to. It don't have to be on the agenda. And the the board up here can respond to it or not respond to it. And, But they get 5 minutes, but, I mean, if it gets into a back and forth arguing and stuff like that, then that's what happens a lot of times. So, I think the way it is now is okay, but if it needs to be amended, there may be things I haven't thought about. And if it is, then, you know, I'm open to talk about it. And I understand people sitting out in the audience, while they're sitting there, all of a sudden they think of something they want to speak. And I understand and I respect them for that. But everybody in here has got a different opinion on everything that is spoke in here. And we're not just gonna sit up here and just let it get out of hand. That's my intake on it. Anybody else got anything?
I think what the best thing to do is just, we're so close to being the end of the year, let the next administration come in and do what they wanna do.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Pruitt probably has an idea how he wants to handle meetings.
That's right.
Let him change it the way he wants it done. We just keep ours the way it is.
All right.
That's just my opinion.
Don't nobody else have anything on the agenda? All right. We'll move on down to committee updates. Jeff,
Boys, we are getting me and Donna spent Tuesday and Wednesday going around and the people we've talked with, and we're gonna have, stuff that we can auction off. I mean, some nice prizes. So far, everybody has helped us, and, so we're gonna have a lot of prizes there. Still need more volunteers for the car show. Only just, everybody wants to jump in and help, we take all the help we can get. But it's really going over real good. I think it's gonna be really a good turnout. And, I think it's gonna be a good thing. Right now, I mean, everybody we talked to said, oh, well, we're gonna be part of it. We've got some real nice gifts to give away.
To reiterate that, there is a lot of people that have come into the office and gotten the flyers, and a lot of interest has been shown. But what I wanted to tell everybody that's in here is that there is a sign-up sheet in the office, in town hall. And I know he's gonna need help with parking and things like that. If anybody wants to volunteer to cook, things like that, to make the day go smoothly, because he's not gonna be able to cook. So we're gonna have to get volunteers from the community and to help us out, and hopefully get a list before the day of the event, so we can put whoever, decide who's gonna do what and where.
I've got 3 judges that are non-partial. Matter of fact, 2 of them judge the way church show, and then there's another guy that got it where it's a shell leadership. So we've got 3 judges to judge everything. I'm gonna need some forms I'll have to show you kind of what I need on it for cars. There's something else I can say. Trophies. Cindy, thank you. It saved us a lot of money. The man down in Hartwell's name's what? He's down in the old shop, old clothing shop. But
I went by there today and picked up the banner, and it looks great. We'll be putting that out there at the road, probably tonight. And,
did he have a trophy today?
he said tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
So expect a call.
That beautiful trophy, so I mean, we got something nobody else is gonna have, so,
Are they paid for?
no. I get
I
you.
need to give
Well,
Oh, he's
no,
gonna call me.
I did that. That's what I told you.
You paid
Oh,
for
you paid
trophies?
for 'em?
You paid for trophies, too? Okay.
Yay.
Good deal.
Tax exempt.
Did he show it to you? Oh, he said
No.
money, no, okay. One of the things we're gonna do on one of the thing is, I don't know how many people in this town knew, Ben Carey. But, Ben was a heck of a good guy, and he just died here about a month ago, just all of a sudden, and he was an air cooled, nut. As a matter of fact, we got into the air cooled stuff, so we're gonna do on that, on the air trophy is gonna be in memories of him, so. All right, on the cemetery signs,
How much is the entry fee?
let's go cheap, let's go $10, $15.
Because I need to know,
You
you
know,
need
10
to decide
let's-
that, because it's coming up.
Let's make this, you'll get a lot more cars at $10 or than you will at 20. And
can, because, you know, it's basically like I tell folks all the time, I said, I'm in the only hobby in the world that I can go pay somebody $20 doing all over my cars. So,
So $10?
just
Say
10.
10.
And we will sell hot dogs and hot dog plates.
All right, well, we need a flyer that's got that on there, because there's nothing on there, your number's not on there, so I guess that would be me, wouldn't it? All right. And is anybody going to distribute these flyers?
Flyers, well, just get them up, I'll do something with them. We got them all over the place, so.
If you hand me some, I'll get some out too.
Okay.
Other than that, that's all. It's just looking really, really good. I think it's gonna be a great show. So, cemetery, Donna's building 2 Taj Mahals for the signs. So, that's all I can tell you about it.
All right.
She's not gonna do anything. She's just, nobody will have signposts like we have.
All right.
But the signs, I don't know if y'all seen them.
Take a picture of it, right?
I will. I'll put
Yeah,
this-
they're really nice.
Hey, somebody come by today and was looking to, want to resurface one, it was, she told me his name, he lived over there on, Cindy, your mother's place, that little house, Grant.
Oh, yeah, Macy.
Yeah, Maceo, some of his people came up, and, they were, and Debbie, give me your name.
I have the no.
Oh, you didn't? Not
She
yet?
gave me her name and number, and she wants to know about landscaping and things like that, and if we knew anybody
And we
that.
asked her about if she looked at the sign, she said she didn't see nothing.
No, they're
That's how we knew
not,
they were
they're not
dead.
up yet. They'll be up here very shortly, I guess. That woman, you can't get her to do something just halfway. She's gonna do it, it's gonna be done, it's gonna be done right. So they gonna look really good.
All right, well, the next thing on the, are you done?
I'm doing.
The next thing on the agenda is, old business and, True Vista camera parks.
Yeah.
Camera park.
Yeah. I was having a hard time trying to find someone to guarantee the cameras that we buy and put them in, or, but, you know, there's so much work out there, and just to put cameras up in our park, I think, we're gonna have a hard time trying to get somebody, unless we go with, like, ADT, and do we really wanna go that route? I think our park attendant is, I don't think we're having any problems, at least I haven't heard of any problems down there, have you?
Now, there was a little bit of vandalism in the bathroom a week or so ago. Somebody used the bathroom, not in one of the commodes, and, you know, and they put so much paper stuff in the commode that clogged it up, but that probably wouldn't get caught on the camera anyway.
Yeah. I think that we're all too busy to monitor a camera for the park, so we need someone else to do it. So if we're gonna do it, we might as well do it and have a company to go in and install and surveillance, and that would be like ADT. So I think that's gonna be a little bit higher cost. And so we need to really make a call on that, whatever y'all want. I think for right now, it's not happening on a frequent basis, so maybe we can hold off and wait until.
Well, I think we're fixing to close the park here pretty soon, so
I know,
we'll just let the next administration decide on what they wanna do.
Okay, so I'm gonna take
Well,
that off, right?
Someone would have
Have
to
to.
monitor it. And
Yes.
that's the big thing. Debbie doesn't have time to do that. You know,
Yeah, but
any
the thing
of
about
y'all
it is, if something did happen,
You would have it on tape, that's
You'd have it
the
on
main
tape.
thing. Not so much a monitor, just so if something comes up, you could.
wouldn't it? Would it?
Well, like I said, the park's fixing to be closed, so let the next.
Let the next one take care of it.
Well,
And then
I just don't think that we're having a major issues on a frequent basis enough to put in an expensive security camera right now.
I agree with you.
Okay, so do I have permission to take this off the agenda?
For now,
Okay.
Okay, under old business, number B is speed detection device update.
That would be me. Okay, I called, Department of Safety. And I talked to Department of Public Safety and talked to Ms. Shanika Butler
yes.
again today, okay? And And she said, this is what has to happen and this is it, okay? Hart County, if we want to add roads to their permit, okay, it's all up to them. So we would have to approach Hart County, whoever you need to talk to, and this is what they have to do to add Bowersville streets. Hart County needs to contact the Department of Transportation, which I believe it would be Jonathan Peavy.
Yes.
Okay, and I have his info, but I don't have his phone number, but I do have his email. To add Bowersville roads to its current permit. If approved, the DOT will then contact the Department of Public Safety. Then Ms. Shanika Battle, and I've got all of her information, will then send the paperwork to Hart County to modify its current radar permit to include Bowersville streets. And that's all we can do is approach them, ask them to change their permit, and then they have to call the Department of Transportation with the list of roads, and then they will give them the paperwork that they have to fill out, and if it's approved, then we go to Ms. Battle. They go to Ms. Battle. And that's the final straw, and I told her I wasn't gonna call her anymore. She's sick of talking to me. Okay.
Doug, is that something that we can get, can you request it from the county?
Yeah, we'll have to work up well, I guess that would be you.
I'm gonna take the info she just had, put it in a letter, and I can send it.
There
Okay.
you go. And I will get his number, I'll email him.
Doug, would it be plausible to get put on their agenda and speak to their, board about that?
You could, I would suggest having you contact their chairman and ask if, he would put y'all on the agenda. I guess the chairman sets their agenda for them, so.
Yeah, I think so.
So he would be the one to put it on there, so I think,
Okay.
being mayor, I think you'd probably be the best person to contact.
And then you have to wait for a response from that first.
I think I can go ahead and send the letter, and then that can, if they put you on the agenda, that's what they'll discuss, I guess.
So the 4 roads, you probably wanna list those, right?
Yeah.
College Avenue. Do you want those or not?
Yeah, go ahead.
College Avenue, West Main Street, East Main Street, and Adamstown Road.
Why can't we just say all of them?
Well, that ain't all of them.
Because those are the
I said,
4.
that's why can't we ask? I guess we better just ease into this, huh?
Well, those are the roads that you have.
Those are the main roads that you can basically pick up a lot of speed on.
And those are the roads that were,
That were part of
in
the
the
study.
road study,
I
that
think
we
that's a
actually
requirement to have.
right,
Ah.
the correct speed limits.
Yeah.
I got something to add about that, if you give me just 1 minute. I talked to one of the Royston, city councilmen here a few weeks ago. And he said one of the things that they done down there, you see these little square boxes, it's got the speed limit, you're going this fast and all. They had put those out and they said they have really helped, but now I don't know how expensive they are.
They are very,
Are they?
about $4,000.
Yeah.
I just got an ad in the thing, and we priced them where I used to work at too, and they bought one, but I know the mayor, so I may be able to talk to him and see if we
Get
could
a grant.
borrow it for a couple, well, the safety grant, yeah.
We could do that. We could probably work on that.
But you gotta qualify for that grant. That means sending me to meetings, which I don't have time to do.
There are some smaller ones in Hartwell that aren't the great big ones.
This is small, it's like this big.
Is it, do you pull behind a
Pull
vehicle?
behind a truck.
A truck?
Oh, no,
There's some
not
that
this
there's on a
one. This is
post.
just on a post.
Yeah.
They just put it on a post.
The ones I've seen are mobile.
Yeah, it is mobile. They
Well,
change it
They're
around.
both ways, they're both ways.
I can ask them to see if we can borrow it for a few months and see what happens. And
How many do they have? 1 or 2?
they just have one and they just move it around from place to place. And it gives you all the data, it collects the data and who's speeding it up.
A couple of weeks ago, it was on 17, right there before you get 172.
Was it? Well, they said it is real, I don't know how many they got, but they said it is really really work for them.
Well, why don't you talk to that person again and find out where they got it from and how much it costs?
I'll see you in the next haircut.
There you go.
All right. Anything else on that? Okay, new business, nuisance ordinance. We won't talk about nuisance ordinance.
Well, I really don't have a lot to say yet, I just, I wanted to get it on the agenda, so maybe we could talk more about it next week. I feel like maybe we need to do some, possible amendment to the 1 hours. That's really all I have to say right now, I've got to do some research.
All right, and then Reese across America.
Oh, I got something I want to say about that.
All right.
We done that last year and we sent in, I think it was $150 or something like that in. And before, when we were doing it, when we first took over 3 years ago, we did 250.
I remember us doing more than 150.
Yeah, it was more
It was
than
Okay.
250. I
Well,
think.
250, the first year we was in office, the second year we was in office, we had enough reads to go over all our veterans. Last year, they didn't give us enough to go over half of them. And the only way we're gonna get enough is you're gonna have to buy each one of them at what, how much are they a piece?
I forget what they are.
They're right here.
15.
I gave you a copy of that, but I didn't give you a copy of that. One wreath is $15. 4 wreaths is $60. 10 wreaths is $150, and 100 wreaths is $1,500.
Well, last year, we didn't have enough reads to go on all the veterans. And here's something I thought we might could do this year to save us some money. Since we're gonna have these signs up and posts, why don't we just put a wreath at each entrance? Cause I mean, it ain't fair to put, I've got people up there as veterans, and of course, I didn't put a wreath on them last year because we didn't get enough. I tried to put the ones on, but that would be cheaper for the town, and I think it would, I don't know where to get a pretty wreath at, but I'm sure we'll find somewhere to make one. That's my suggestion.
Oh, that's fine. I have a suggestion too, as I've been thinking about it. First of all, how many, veterans do you have? How many wreaths do you need to get one for each?
50, 52, 51 in this one, and one over there in the other church.
So 52?
I think it's 52.
Well, I know you can get beautiful wreaths at Home Depot for $5 a piece at Christmas time. And that's another option that you can think about. I mean, I don't know how do you hook them up?
You just
You
stick
lay
them
them
on
down.
You just lay them on the.
Well, and the year before last, they gave us stands.
We
this
had
year.
stands.
We didn't get stands this year,
We had
last year.
stands.
Yeah, they're very expensive now, but
Well,
they
last year there was
changed.
a different person handling things.
Yeah, I mean, you would make money.
Yeah, and, I think all they let us get was like 10 wreaths.
It wasn't many. I know we put them out on just a little bit.
We can always do a real big one and have a nice stand for it.
Or just do two entrances, do one at each entrance, and maybe put, a banner or something on it.
Yeah, in honor of our veterans.
That's a good idea.
I like that.
Well, we need 3 of them, because we got one for the other facility, we got one veteran up there.
Okay.
I think it would probably be cheaper than $15 a piece for 50 of them,
Well,
52.
you know the banner person.
The stand is what.
I mean, that's just my suggestion, but, next year, if they, the next administrator, if they want to buy them, I mean, I'll be glad to put them out anytime, but.
Okay, so we're not going to do this thing, okay. I will take that off.
Okay, anything else on the wreath? Okay, that brings us down to the speakers. And David, I think you're the first one up.
Yes, y'all are talking about the speeders and the radar, and, I talked to, I think all the city council members, but Felicia about it, they said they thought it was a good idea to put the speed tables in. I think it needs to be expedited. I was getting in my truck the other day, there's a child on a bicycle in front of my house. Car coming from out where you live, Jeff, was going so fast, had to swerve around, there'd been a car coming. He had to make the choice, hit the child or hit somebody head up.
It was John Smith's son, and
Yeah.
I know he rides his bike quite often.
But I
But
mean,
he's-
I'm not gonna sit here and get all revved up, we had it fixed, but it's right back where it was, it's out of control. And I really think the city ought to come up with a plan to put them on all the streets. eventually. I know you can't pay for them all at once, but, you know, it is what it is, and what's the price of protecting a citizen or especially a child?
I agree with you, David. I mean, I've been saying forever something needs to be done, but since we're in October, I think the next administration will make the decision on that stuff.
Yeah, I'm not wanting to argue with you, I think it needs to be done. This administration had the problem fixed, pulled them up, and, it may not never get passed with the next administration. I hate to be that way, but you got the votes from what everybody told me, that they're willing to do it. There's nothing you can do to make the county happy. When they find out y'all want to put speed tables in, it's gonna be just like before. They're gonna be up here pitching a fit, trying to run Bowersville's business. You know, the other thing is, I think y'all need to do a report to the citizens about how those speed bumps got tore up in 30 minutes after the meeting. Did y'all vote on it? I think this council has written a report, oral report to the citizens, who authorized it, how it got authorized, why's our money going? The other thing, I'm asking Doug just a question, did the county commission vote on it or just discuss it, Doug? About the reimbursement for the SPOS?
I think they just discussed it.
Just discuss, I was just curious about that, because I didn't get to go to it, I didn't know what they did.
I wasn't there either, I've heard say,
Yeah.
man, I don't think it was voted on.
And then my input about the junk cars and stuff, and surely somewhere in Royston, Hartle, or somebody's got something we could borrow from them.
That's what I wanted.
Exactly, Cindy, and just, you know, instead of reinventing the wheel.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a solution that's fair to everybody, there is. You know, and ours is pretty broad right now. But I mean, Hartwell, Royston, or Livonia, somebody's probably got a good one that's been challenged, you know, in some way or another. You know, it'd be stable. If you're gonna grow this town, make it attractive, and people move here and wanna do businesses, you're gonna have to clean it up, you know. Each journey starts with one step. You know, you're never gonna make everybody happy. And I really don't care, I'll say it right now, people out in the county, I don't wanna fight with them, but this is Bowersville. This is our town, our solutions. And they don't need to be running this town. If you don't change, it's gonna be like Joey Dorsey said, it's never gonna be nothing more than it is. That's all I'll say.
Thank you, David.
Thank you, Jim.
And he did say that at Commissioners meeting,
Yes, he did say that.
to Cindy and I.
Okay, any response? Okay, Annette Neal. You're on the clock.
I know that y'all wanted to kind of let this move to the next council, but I know Cindy and Felicia will still be with us, and Debbie and Doug, so. And I brought a copy for any candidates who were here, so I gave one to Pruitt and to Melissa. But I wanted to make a formal request of the Bowersville Town Council and Mayor Jim Jordan to consider implementing an official change in the speaking and agenda policy. I understand that in the past, there's been little involvement from the community despite your efforts, and that's been a constant frustration for all of you. If there is one good thing that came out of the entire speed bump situation, it is that it fired up the communities. It's gotten people more involved and has encouraged attendance and participation. It's resulted in more citizens wanting to have their opinions heard. Unfortunately, in my opinion, the current speaking policy is unfit to meet the needs of the growing attendance and increased interest of the citizens at town meetings. Under the current system, citizens are required to fill out a form by the end of the first week of the month for both meetings if they wish to speak. However, if an issue arises during the work session, they are unable to address that issue until the next month's meeting unless they fill out a form preemptively for the regular meeting as well. They are unable to ask questions at the work session on the record while the issue is being discussed. The council has expressed several times that they want the community more involved, yet the current policy hinders that communication in an official capacity. Just last month, the possibility of further restricting the community's ability to speak at town meetings was discussed. I feel this is a mistake and will prove to further alienate the citizens of Bowersville, something that you all claim that you do not want. We should be able to ask questions as needed during discussion of business, and in doing so, this will help connect the council and mayor to the community and help to build stronger relations between them so that you all can effectively lead Bowersville. My suggestion going forward on the handouts that I've given you is as follows. During work sessions, after each item of business is discussed, a portion of time, not strictly time, is given towards the citizens to present, or the citizens present to ask any questions they may have before the next item of business is discussed. At this point, citizens can raise their hands and have their question answered by the council, mayor, or city attorney. At the end of all discussions of business, public speaking can occur to those who have signed up for formal requests. I also believe that speaking should include the option to be able to ask council members or the mayor direct questions on the record, which they can choose at that point to answer, provide no comment, or let the city attorney speak for them. After work session is complete, I suggest that the speaker forms be available for submission for the regular meeting until the end of business day the following Tuesday, giving citizens 5 days to complete the speaker form posted on the Town of Bowersville website, to email to the town clerk to have the agenda amended on Wednesday to allow them to speak at the regular meeting if an issue has come up during the work session that they feel strongly about and need to speak on. During regular meetings, if there is an amendment to the agenda or new business that was not previously discussed in the work session, citizens should be allowed to ask questions regarding that business. I would suggest an option for citizens to be offered the opportunity to speak before a vote is taken on each item of business if they were unable to attend the work session. The speakers who have filled out a form are speaking on the subject being voted on, they should be able to speak before the vote is taken. You all wanted us here, and now we're here. Please listen to us in a way that feels fair and inclusive, or else you risk apathy creeping back into the community, and you will be right back where you started. And I don't think you want that, and I don't want that, and I don't think the community wants it either.
Thank you, Annette. Any response?
Very well said, very well said. Makes good points.
Okay, next week, we got an item to go into an executive session about. So since we can't do that now, we'll do that next week. It's on the agenda, David.
Well, I was just, the executive session is if you decide to go ahead with the DBA.
Right.
So I guess you need to decide first or vote or something. Well, I guess when you talk about it, then you need to decide if you're gonna go ahead with it. If you are, then that's what that executive session for. And this description of why we're going, and there's only a few reasons why you can go to executive session. And I think y'all had a question about that. But if you look at the very end, it says DDA. This is the, taken right from the affidavit that you have to sign. And, Doug told me that was the one that we should put on here because people are gonna ask, you know, how can you? Plus, he already explained the law, so.
Yes, the appointment of a public officer.
Right. So that's why that was in there.
Okay, so you can decide next week if you want to go into executive session or not over this. Or if you want to just decide what you want to do without going into executive session. Either way, it's okay. Cindy?
Can we add an item for next week?
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
I feel like we need to discuss LMIG.
Can I answer that?
Yeah.
Did you and I, correct me if I'm wrong, Jim, did we not sit down and we don't have to turn that in until next year? I don't think we have to do anything until next year. We just have to give them the progress of what's going on. But for the project, yeah, we don't have to, we're not, our time isn't up.
I thought we were supposed to send that to them before the end of the year.
Okay.
No, we're not, it's not, time's not up yet.
I'd like to add something, we need to, talk about scraping something road too. Scraping Sutton Road. That needs to be like skirts.
So do you want Elmig on here or?
Yeah.
Okay. Elmig and Sutton Road under old business, new
New
business.
business.
And between now and next week, I will have all the paperwork for the Elmig and Sutton Road.
Maybe you need to explain to everybody here what LB is, because everybody's looking like, what is LB?
Oh, that's the grant, we get a small grant each year from the Department of, Transportation, and, well, every 3 years, right?
Well, because every year, how long?
It's every year.
Every year.
Every year we get them out,
Yeah,
and every
everything
3 years
gets
we can reapply.
Yeah. I think the other road that was on there is East Main Street. Isn't that right?
I've got it right here.
Yeah.
Right, and it's
That's, yeah, there's some areas on East Main Street. we need
something
to-
mitigation, something grant. I'm sorry, I can't remember.
It's local
Maintenance,
maintenance. Something like that.
inter something, it's not intergovernmental, it's
Yeah, anyway.
It ain't even enough to fix all the
Get on the
potholes.
smart zone, you'll see what it is.
There ain't enough to fix potholes.
Can we, do we have budget for that, this
That's
scrape?
right. That's right. Yeah, cause I don't think
Yeah.
we've used our, we haven't used it.
Is it on the Elmig?
Sutton Road is, and, yeah.
I think it
I
is.
think we need to focus on Sutton Road, cause that is, now that we may be getting into the rainy season,
Yeah, it's gonna be bad.
it's gonna be bad and we need to get that road fixed before.
Well, the problem with Sutton Road, it's got some potholes. They're not horrible, I don't think they are. I just rode down through there today. The ditches are filled up. The sides of the roads that since Gary spoke, they have been mowed with a slow mower. They look fairly good. But now, if you get a motor grader in there, and I'm just telling you, if you get a motor grader in there and you pull all that silt out of the ditches up into the road, those folks won't get in and they won't get out.
I was gonna have to have gravel put on.
It needs, yeah, it needs, I mean, you can, if you just pull that stuff up out of the ditches and you don't haul it off, you don't have trouble.
Right.
But, I mean, you can pull it all out of the ditches up in the road and pile a bunch of gravel on top of it, but it's still gonna be messy.
Can you have, is the prisoners able to do any of that? Is that too much?
Well, the prisoners have done some mowing and, what they can do down there for vegetation, but as far as, I mean,
So what kind of machine that needs to get the,
well, they need a motor grader down there to,
what's a motor grader? I don't know.
Road scrape.
Road scrape, okay.
So what, do you have an estimate, or can you get an estimate of what it would cost to
They have
do
just done the
ditches?
county has just done the county roads. On the city limits, that ends right past on dirt road on College Avenue. So they've already scraped it. If we'd known about it, we could probably got the county to go over and scrape it, but
I think it's about $500 load, which would be a 10-wheel dump truck. And it'd probably take 5 or 6 loads to coat that road pretty good with some 57 gravel.
Now, what
Or
about
you
the
wanna use
ditches? What
brush
about
around.
hauling off the dirt from the ditches?
you lose a lot of money there.
I don't know about that. I don't know about that. It'd just be at whatever contract you contract with, but it's so hard to get contracts with contractors because they're, you know,
Oh, I just feel like we can't just ignore,
No, we
because
can't.
this road is continuing to get,
we haven't been ignoring it.
things, but we need to get prices on what it would cost to do it correctly, and then we actually have the knowledge to know where to go from there.
How about if we go outside of the county and see what the prices are compared?
Well, we
Just
can,
an idea?
That's what I was gonna say, cause we did it, in 2017, I believe. And I have there what they charged us to just put the gravel down. I have that at the office, so we can compare that.
they didn't put gravel down the whole section, they put it right there where Doc Schwartzman's old house is, that's where a big pothole was. And then a few little bumps around the curve there, but, they didn't do the whole section.
A load of gravel don't go far.
So
No.
what needs to be done, and you can tell me this, Jim, it needs to be scraped first, and then gravel, and then scraped again?
No, straight
No.
gravel off.
You know, scrape it.
Not
and
scrape
lay out
it,
the
just
ditches.
kinda dig
You
out
want
the
to
ditches.
scrape it, do
Okay.
And then that dirt may need to be, some of that dirt may need to be hauled off and gravel put out.
A person might be able to pull those ditches with a motor grader and find some places to waste it out over on the side, you know, if it's like a field where it drops off and stuff like that, get rid of the dirt and stuff like that. And that would save money, but then you've got, you're dependent on somebody that is skilled at running a motor grader. And, it seems like those skilled operators are getting less and less. But right now, I mean, I'm not ignoring people, but right now, they haven't been nobody down there to get stuck. And it's a little bit bumpy, but dirt roads are not gonna be smooth as paved roads. I just hate to go in there and do something and, I mean, you can't do everything within an hour and there come a shower of rain and then you got people that gotta get in, gotta get out. But anyway, yeah, you're right, we need to do something.
I'm gonna say if it rained, I'd be willing to spend the money. It's rain bad.
All right, so can we look into that, Debbie?
Ma'am?
Can we look into that possibly, looking outside?
Oh, yeah,
Okay.
yeah, I can talk, cause
There's a
my
guy,
husband knows somebody that did our driveway.
there's a guy,
And he was really reasonable, of course, he's a friend of ours, but, you know, I can talk sweet.
Gold Mine, David Campbell, Gold Mine Grading. Excuse me?
It's Gold Mine Grader.
Gold Mine Grading has got, he's done a lot of straightening and stuff like that, so
Now, is this person, does the ditches too?
he can do everything, he can do anything.
Okay,
Let's talk to him.
And do
Something
we
like
know his
this, we
name?
gotta get bids,
David
we gotta send out bids and stuff.
Stratton Sons are good too, from Cannon.
we've used them, yeah, they do paving.
Yeah, yeah, Chesley, because I've.
That's who I was trying to figure out, because I knew
Jerry Stratton
them,
does
I
lots.
could not remember their name.
Jerry
Stratford and Sons, yeah. Stratton, S-C-R-T-T-O-N,
Stratton.
right.
Do I hear a motion to adjourn the meeting?
They don't meet.
But it's not a meeting.
Yeah, adjourn it.
No, you gotta adjourn it. You just don't write it down, you do have to adjourn.
Why do y'all do that to me every damn time?
I'm not doing it, it's just adjourn.
You have to adjourn the meeting.
You do. It's a meeting.
Come on, yeah, you do.
Okay, I need a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Thank you.
Any second?
Second.